Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Esoteric Atlanta. I am so excited about this interview that we just conducted over on the Esoteric Academy. This is one of our forbidden interviews with Todd Roderick from Ashtanga Yoga Atlanta. As many of you probably know, Todd is my partner in life. And so for this interview, Paula actually conducted it without me just because of ethical purposes. But there is so much to Todd's story. It was truly amazing to listen to the interview after it was done. There'll probably be multiple parts to this because Todd has such a wild story to tell about his life becoming a master teacher in traditional yoga. In fact, Ashtanga Yoga Atlanta is the busiest traditional yoga shala in the Southeast. Todd is actually the most experienced teacher in the Southeast currently. And so coming up is a brief preview, a commercial, to kind of give you a taste of what this part one interview contains. And if you're interested in hearing the full interview, then follow the link down in the description box below to the Esoteric Academy. Until February 20th of 2025, we absolutely are running our special where tuition is $25 a month. That's literally the price of a day drop-in to a yoga shala. And with this Esoteric Academy, of course, we have multiple online courses that are available to you, multiple workout videos available to you, and of course, a host of interviews with different master teachers and educators across the world. Starting February 2025, the tuition will go up to $40 a month, which is still super, super cheap. But if you register for the Esoteric Academy before February 20th, 2025, while we're still in our soft launch, we will lock you in at that price, so your tuition will not be raised. Also, starting in February, we will be commencing forward with our monthly live phone calls and our monthly live classes. So again, you also get a 7-day free trial with this Esoteric Academy. So if you sign up and you try it for 7 days and you don't like it, you can cancel your membership at any time, no problem. But with that being said, hold tight for a sneak peek at the forbidden interview with Todd Roderick from Ashtanga Yoga Atlanta.
I'm dying to hear about, what it was like to live in India and just everything. So why not get started?
And that's where I really started to experience some paranormal things in my life started happening on that military base. I had, I guess you could say, an abduction experience. And at the time, I hadn't really experienced anything paranormal. Years later, as I became an adult, I was reading some books on abduction cases and how that's sort of a cosmic joke, I guess, is for them to put you back in your bed backwards. Okay. Yeah, I thought, at a young age, started studying that.
How did they feel about buying you a book about astrology?
They didn't care. Just the fact that open-minded. And also just the fact that I was interested in reading. But I've got this dilemma. The guy's license, driver's license is in there, identification, but this wallet is packed with money. And so now I'm walking back and I'm thinking about this. I've got this money, got this wallet, how am I going to explain this to my dad? And so anyway, so by the time I get back, I realize, I'm not thinking about, how I could have manifested this. I'm just thinking, what a coincidence, and I saw sort of the stress of it. And at that moment, I realized that it wasn't necessarily a positive thing, that a lot of the time when you're manifesting, someone's got to lose something for you to gain. Yeah. When you do it in a certain way, that, using your power. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that woke me up to the sort of the morals behind manifestation.
And I think that's a really important thing that people don't talk about in manifestation. That's really important, because you want to be creating circumstances where it's a win-win situation. So, everybody's kind of gaining, because there is an abundance in the universe. It's how we tap into it. But that's incredible that you had it. So how old were you then?
It wasn't until later that it was sort of refined in a way where, I think it's more, manifestation is more about just having faith that you'll always have what you need, and not sit around dreaming up how you want the fancy car, or a certain type of lifestyle, so there's a positive and the negative in terms of manifesting. I mean, sure. You could put your intentions towards getting those fancy things or whatever it may be, but understanding that in those situations, there's always going to be a winner and a loser. And in the discipline of yoga, they call these abilities siddhis, and they talk about how they're a distraction. That they'll take you off the path. Those abilities will start to manifest, but they're really just another test of your morals and your focus on the finer aspects of yoga. And so, those things for me, for whatever reason, sort of manifested at a young age. And there was a little bit left in the corner of the bag that she didn't want to do. And I was like, oh, fine, I guess I'll do it. And it was really, not supposed to be enough to really make me trip, I didn't think. And so I took that and didn't even think about it. And we went into the show, and the show started. And it was like pure bliss, and I felt like I was one with everything. It took my breath away. It was incredible. And I looked over and I saw that he had this book on yoga, and I just reached over and grabbed this book. I'd never really even heard of yoga before this point. And so I pulled this book down and opened it up and just read, like, there was a section on the benefits of yoga. And so that's the first thing I read, as the benefits. And I was like, wow, if something could do that for me, I would do it every day. And then I wrote Pattabhi Jois a letter and telling him when I intended to come and how long I was going to stay, and sent that off. And then a month later, I waited for a month and I didn't hear back from him. And so I called Tim Miller back, and he said, oh, he's not going to respond. You just have to go.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And he said he hasn't turned anyone away yet. So that's all the reassurance that I got. And so anyway, eventually I bought my plane ticket, had saved up my money, and for the first time ever, I traveled internationally alone all the way to India. And all I had was a scrap sheet of paper with Pattabhi Jois's address on it. And my first yoga class ever was with the most intense yoga teacher in the world, which was Pattabhi Jois. My first yoga class I ever went to, I traveled all the way to India and knocked on Pattabhi Jois's door. And
that was your first class.
Experience. And I had no idea. So my first trip, I decided that I was, regardless of how tough it was going to be, I didn't care. I was going to spend 6 months. I don't care. And
your level of commitment is amazing, especially when you just learnt from a book, and the next day you just got to get up and do it again. No matter how sore you are.
Hobble into class and do it all over again.
And so when that happens, like when you're sore and you're tired and you're just exhausted, but so does everybody just keep going? Like, you don't just have a break. You've got to kind of push through, because that's how you level up, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, and that brings up all your stuff. Yeah. That's the important part. You're bringing all that stuff up to the surface so it could be skimmed away.
So once again, guys, Todd is definitely a wealth of information. And in this modern world of corrupt spirituality, with all these corrupt businesses trying to capitalize on yoga, it's very rare to find somebody like Todd who is extremely traditionally trained. And so I really, really highly suggest that you hop over to the Esoteric Academy and click on the episode to watch the full episode. As you probably heard, Todd also gets into a lot of the paranormal experiences that he had as a child, as well as his ability to manifest, which I will be honest with you guys, that is a very, very strange ability that he has. I mean, I know we all have that ability, but honestly, as somebody who has known Todd for a very long time, he has a very powerful ability to do this. And so his thoughts on manifestation are also really interesting. Now, FYI, when you go over to the Esoteric Academy, the thumbnail and the title of this episode is going to look a little bit differently, or the title more specifically. I've got the title up right now in this voiceover of what the title looks like on the Esoteric Academy. I had to change the title for this particular platform due to terms and services. So I don't want you to get confused. Both the titles cover things that Todd talks about in his interview, but I did not want you to get confused when you went over to the Esoteric Academy due to the change in the title. With that being said, I'm also going to put a link to Ashtanga Yoga Atlanta's website, as well as Ashtanga Yoga Atlanta's Instagram page. So Todd does a really good job with the Instagram page. He puts a lot of really cool information up about things like Vedic chanting, all that kind of stuff. He is working on a Vedic chanting course for the Esoteric Academy. And so if you want to follow over on Instagram, if you live close to Atlanta and you want to practice with Todd, please make sure you look at the website. And you can always contact him or sign up for the next beginner course. Yeah, we'd love to have you. And so I look forward to seeing you guys over on the Esoteric Academy.